Hello everyone, how's it going? So, even though I'm demonetized, maybe I'll get it next month, I'm still going to upload content. I'm going to diversify my stuff a little more, do more reviews and commentary content, because I don't know what reviews content is, seeing that everything I put on my channel is originally uploaded by me, but whatever. Dead Space, I am a huge fan. I love Dead Space. I played every major entry, including the Extraction game, which should get a re-release. I don't know why I don't know, just re-release the game with control support. They do have that on the PlayStation 3 special edition of Dead Space 2, so just give it to us. But either way, huge fan of the Dead Space franchise. Very disappointed we didn't get Dead Space 4. It was supposed to be this. It was supposed to be like the ship system from Dead Space 3. You know, when you would go to ships and try and go into those dungeon-like areas, and then fight through necromorphs, and then you would get your reward at the end. It was going to be something like that, and there was rumors that you would be playing as Ellie instead of Isaac, which I thought would have been awesome. I always wanted to play as Ellie. But yeah, Dead Space Remake, a lot of people are on the fence about this because they're hoping it'll be great. What we've seen looks incredible, but again, if they're going to remake this, we're hoping that they'll do Dead Space 4. But then again, the person who made that game, Glenn Schofield, has moved on to the Callisto protocol. But, you know, never know. He might give them the notes of what he promised for the original game. And the original Dead Space 4 was going to follow the mantra of the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. So the idea that the Brethren Moons were actually not the worst possible thing and there was something bigger out there would have been cool. But either way, Dead Space Remake is what we are getting. It's coming out in January, and we got new gameplay. So let's look at it, then we'll discuss. EA Motive.
Hi, my name is Philippe Ducharme, senior producer on Dead Space. Today, I'm here to give you a first look at one of my favorite sections in the game. So we find ourselves here in the Ishimura's hangar at the beginning of Chapter 3. We're going to make our way towards the control room in engineering, where we'll attempt to restart the ship's engine.
The way Isaac walks, it's very different.
The original,
I guess
the
more
hangar
hip
was
movement.
much smaller than it is now. We get to explore this location and literally fly through it before heading to our destination.
So this was introduced first in Dead Space 2, the flight system.
Navigating between chapters without load screens or having a camera cutaway is part of how we've reimagined the Ishimura for the remake. We don't need to rely on the tram as the sole way to get between chapters. It is now a seamless, interconnected ship.
Whoa, really? That is huge. In the original, you had a tram system that separated each chapter. Dude, this looks amazing. Look at these visuals. But we all know Dead Space is all about the psychological horror. Let's see if they can do that correctly.
We've got two lurkers here. You can quickly get rid of them with the pulse rifle or Isaac's trusty plasma cutter.
Dude, you don't use anything but the plasma cutter.
There aren't additional firearms on board. To survive, you may have to improvise and choose how to take each necromorph down.
We all know, OG Dead Space fans, plasma cutter from start to finish.
The ship. We have a lot to show you, so let's skip ahead to Chapter 3. We've just received a briefing to head over to the refueling station.
Dang, I'm not a fan
we're
of
passing through the machine shop over here.
I'm not a fan of Isaac's gait. It just seems like he's always on edge and timid. Or maybe it's just me. I like the original gait. Like
if you
he would be
needed to
more
backtrack or simply wanted to explore the ship further, you may encounter a completely different experience. Different enemies, the ambience and lighting may change. This is what we call the intensity director. It keeps the Ishimura unpredictable and brings some additional tension and challenge.
So they add enemies based on how well you perform, like Resident Evil 4 or Left 4 Dead. Oh wow, they move a lot quicker.
The way the refueling station is just a little further ahead.
So you can go back to other parts of the ship. You don't need to use the tram. You couldn't do that in the original Dead Space. It was separated based on
As you
chapters.
can see, some memorable moments are authentic to the original. We've added tons of graphical enhancement that support strategic dismemberment.
That reload is very good.
Using
Reload
kinesis, we'll bring that gondola over and make our way to the south refueling station.
Nice. Original Dead Space fans will recognize that area.
We need to gain access to the fuel management office, which contains the power functions for the refueling station.
Yeah.
We can follow that cable to find our way there. One of the things we tried to achieve was to add more context to the various objectives, to expand on what was there, and bring a bit more detail and depth where we could.
That enemy was not there before. There was like a little power pole right there. Oh wait, this is a different section. I apologize. Okay, the kinesis looks way better now. Okay, good job, animation team. That slowdown animation is really good.
The
Okay.
refueling station has no power. We can look for a way to access the fuel management office. This card should allow us in, and we can now make our way back.
Isaac, Hammond,
Daniels? You made it.
Thank God. After the bridge, we thought...
glad to disappoint. I barricaded myself in the computer core. I can hear them, but I don't think they know I'm here. Isaac, I tracked down your rig. You're in engineering, right? I'll get myself admin privileges. Maybe I can help.
Now that we have access to this room, we're faced with a very tough choice. We could cut power to life support and rely on air canisters for oxygen, but today we'll play a section without lights instead.
Okay, that is new, and I like that. Decision making. Which is much more valuable to you? Being able to see, or the difficulty of keeping your suit alive? Yeah! Just like Dead Space 2, you gotta master that if you want to save ammo, throwing things at people. I used to throw cups at the necromorphs, stun them, and then chop their head off.
With the power restored, the south refueling station can now be activated.
This is on PC, so everything looks gorgeous. Oh, we saw the behemoth a little.
Decontamination sequence activated. Please stand by.
In the decontamination room, using new tech, we've cranked up the tension.
Oh yeah, this scene.
Dynamic smoke creates that thick and opaque atmosphere that makes you lose track of the lurkers,
Dude,
even when they're right next to you.
Whoever, like the visual directors, and they nailed it. They freaking, oh yeah, punt. They nailed this. Like, look at this. This is so cool.
It adds to the claustrophobia, the feeling of being locked in with a pack of necromorphs.
And you can barely see what's in front of you, dude. Oh my god. Usually I would get it, like, you can't see them underneath the smoke and all. Oh my god. This entire trailer is so well edited.
It's offline, and the Ishimura is getting dragged down to the planet below.
Please attach generator modules manually.
We've added so much detail in here. Particle effects, lighting, floating debris. We wanted this room to be imposing and tell a story at the same time.
This looks so
It's a lot more impressive,
so
and its
good.
size makes it harder to keep track of the incoming necromorphs. So audio plays a huge role here in identifying the direction of threats.
Dude, that necromorph looks sick. Like, one of the biggest... I'm gonna pause it here. One of the biggest complaints from the original Dead Space when it first came out was that they said the necromorphs didn't have enough character to them. They just felt like, you know, they mushed together just Resident Evil infected into this thing. But that looks sick.
With one of the generator modules back in place, we can head to the second one. Flying in zero-G and not being anchored to the surface makes spatial awareness extremely important. Combat encounters can quickly become deadly, especially with leapers. And now, with the generator modules powered up, the centrifuge is ready to be activated.
Generator module attached. Clutch engaged. All personnel clear for centrifuge restart.
I wonder what they're going to update the
I hope
challenge
you
here.
enjoyed this sneak peek at the new Dead Space. Thank you for tuning in.
In that section, after you restarted, you had to go down through the bottom sector and avoid the generator's pistons, which are swirling around. So I don't know, because that 0G environment does update a lot of different difficulty options within the game, because Isaac wasn't tethered to the floor. So they might have to change things, and they're not showing us what happens after that, because veteran Dead Space fans will know, hey, how did you change the aftermath of that section? But this game looks freaking amazing. Like I stated before with this right here.
Audio plays.
See, this is how you create a really good necromorph. They are nailing the atmosphere, the tension, and the add in the new concepts within the game are pretty good. Like the whole life support system, that do you choose between life support or do you choose between light in? That is actually a really good system, and I think I would love to see how they're going to advance with that. Like, do you choose more ammo or do you choose more health? Or, you know, I mean, that comes with managing your inventory, but Dead Space has always had a very large inventory. What came from it was the unexpected, that these things will ambush you, they'll hit and run, they'll do a lot of things that will just be try and get the player off guard. It's not the idea that you have so many supplies that you can take this stuff on. It's more or less, can you manage and use the supplies under pressure as these things are just like ambushing you and attacking you. That was always the point of Dead Space. It wasn't more about inventory management. It was more about, well, there was, because each weapon used different unique inventory, but more about like, can you remain calm under pressure? That was always the concept of Dead Space for me. Like, can you, when you're in the heat of battle, are you going to be able to use the healing item and manage your inventory? I just love how they really nail the atmosphere with the decontamination room. And I would love to see how they're going to do the final boss fight, because that entire section is one of the more iconic moments in the first game, where you're on the planet and you see who took the first initial who took the onslaught first of the necromorph invasion. On top of it, I really hope they do re-release Extraction, because that's a game that to me is very underappreciated, because it released originally on the Wii, then came to PlayStation 3 through the Dead Space 2 Special Edition. I'm adding that in there because a lot of context is in that game, and it's a sub-story that isn't really explored, but is part of Dead Space Extraction, Dead Space 1, and Dead Space 2. So hopefully they incorporate that into this game, because Extraction did play a role in Isaac Clarke's narrative and the overall world. So I know they want to remain loyal to the Dead Space 1 game, and that's great, but I hope they just add, a little more things from that game into here to showcase, hey, these people existed, they were here, stuff like that, just to show us that they're not just going to go full, like, we're just taking everything. But overall, so good, so amazing, and I can't wait to play it. At first, I was very on edge because, EA is EA, and they EA games, but the people at Motive, they know what they're doing. They clearly love Dead Space. This is coming from what I'm seeing, this is coming from developers who are passionate and understand why Dead Space 1 was such a massive hit. Especially, this came out when Resident Evil 5 came out, and one of the biggest criticisms for Resident Evil 5 was that it was too action-oriented. It didn't play like a horror game. It didn't even play like, it just played like a very lukewarm action game, because it didn't really, atmospheric, it was good, but people wanted survival horror, and Dead Space gave us that itch that people wanted scratch. So can't wait for it. January, it comes out January 23rd, I believe, and I'm pre-ordering it. I kind of want that special edition for the helmet, because I do have Mass Effect helmet. This is wearable. And I kind of want to add the Dead Space helmet to my collection. I'm going to get the Titanfall helmet, but that thing is expensive, so again, demonetization is not fun. So yeah, like, share the video, all that stuff. If you really want to support me, Patreon, link is available below. Follow me on Twitch, AMHarbinger01, and I'll see you all later. Thanks for watching.